I've lived in apartment complexes my whole adult life. College years, post-grad limbo, that weird phase where you think you'll buy a house soon, but never quite do it. By now, I've seen my share of flickering hallway lights, weird neighbors, and overly familiar building managers. But nothing ever prepared me for what happened at Tower Hill Apartments. Before we get into the story, I'm Devin, and this is Porch Lore. Please be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and help me reach 1,000 subscribers. Enjoy the story. This is Porch Lore. And I'm your host, Devin. This is the tale of the maintenance man. It started right after I moved in. Early March, rainy season in North Carolina. I'd been living with a roommate in Durham, but after a bad breakup and a worse job transfer, I took the first one bedroom I could find. Tower Hill was cheap, and it had a decent view of a creek. And if you know me, I am obsessed with natural bodies of water. Plus, it was only 15 minutes from my new office. The only catch was, it was old. And not the charming old that I usually look for. No, this place was just the unmaintained kind of old. The kind of place with water stains on the ceiling, mailboxes that didn't lock, and dumpsters that stayed full no matter how often they got emptied. But affordable rent is hard to find in a short time frame, and I wasn't in the position to be picky. My first interaction with the building's maintenance man was when my kitchen light went out. I'd only been there 4 days. I submitted a work request online like the leasing office told me to, and about an hour later, I heard a knock. He introduced himself as Charlie, mid-50s, beard that looked like steel wool, and wore a gray shirt with a faded patch that said staff. He didn't talk much, just nodded when I explained the issue, climbed up on my counter, and replaced the light with a bulb he pulled from his pocket. That was the first time I noticed the smell. Something about him reeked, like rust and mold and something sharp I couldn't quite place. But not body odor exactly, just like old metal or something. But I didn't say anything. He fixed the light, climbed off the counter, nodded at me again, and left. I saw him again 3 days later. I was getting my mail after work and saw him crouched behind the building, facing away from me. It was getting dark, but I could see that he was messing with something on the wall, prying open a metal grate with what looked like a screwdriver. I called out to him just casually, like, "Hey, Charlie," but he didn't turn around. He didn't even flinch, just kept fiddling with the grate like I wasn't there. Okay, that's weird, but harmless. Or so I thought. The next night, I was woken up by a sound. A dull thump, like something hitting my front door. I checked the people, and no one. I opened the door a crack and there was nothing there but the hallway light buzzing and flickering like it always did. When I looked down though, there was a small black object sitting on my doormat. A key. Not my apartment key. It was a long, narrow, old-fashioned looking key. Brass, tarnished, but still shiny enough to catch the light, with no note and no explanation. I left it on the kitchen counter and went back to bed, unnerved but too tired at that point to care. The next morning, I took the key down to the leasing office. The receptionist was new and barely glanced at it before saying it probably belonged to an old unit or a storage shed. She offered to take it. I said I'd hold on to it just in case. That night, my bedroom light turned on by itself. I woke up at 2 a.m. to full brightness, even though I never used the overhead fixture, just the lamp by my bed. I sat up, heart pounding, and looked around. The door was closed, nothing out of place, but the light switch had been flipped on, and I live alone. At first, I told myself maybe I bumped it on the way to bed. Maybe I'd been more tired than I thought. But then I noticed something else. My closet door was open, just a few inches, but I always closed the door to my closet. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. By the next morning, I had almost convinced myself that it was nothing. Maybe the lock didn't catch all the way. Maybe I dreamt it. But when I went to brush my teeth, I found a single smudged fingerprint on the mirror. Too high to be mine, and too wide. I emailed the leasing office again, told them I thought someone might have entered my unit. They said they'd look into it, but I didn't hold my breath. That Friday I got home late, around 11:30, and was walking up the stairs when I saw something strange. My apartment door was open, just wide enough to see the corner of my coffee table. Oh my God. I froze. I knew I locked it. I'm OCD, and I'm a woman who lives alone. I always double check. My keys with my maze keychain were in my hand. My heart started racing, pounding in my throat like it wanted out. I crept up to the door and pushed it open slowly. The apartment was dark and quiet, but something was off. The air smelled different, like old wood, stagnant water, and some type of chemical. My skin started prickling with goosebumps. That kind of instinctive full-body alert that says that you are not alone. I quickly backed out of my apartment, shut the door, and called the police from my car. They came and did a sweep. Nothing was stolen, nothing was broken, and there were no signs of forced entry. They told me it was probably a maintenance worker that forgot to lock up after a routine inspection. I asked what inspection, but they didn't have an answer. Then I asked if there was a man named Charlie on the building staff, and they told me there was no one by that name working there. What? I didn't sleep that night. I didn't sleep pretty much at all for the next week or so. Then the smell started showing up again. I'd walk into the bathroom and catch a whiff of the same moldy, coppery scent. I'd come out to my kitchen in the morning and my dishes would be rearranged. My bedroom blinds would be open slightly when I knew I closed them. I'd hear sounds at night, almost like soft, dragging footsteps in the hallway, the floor creaking, and the front door lock clicking softly like someone was trying to get in from outside. Then came the knocking, every night, 3 a.m. exactly. Just 3 slow knocks on the front door. Never less, never more. I stopped checking. I'd just curl up under my blankets and waited for morning. One night, after a really bad episode, I drove to my friend Riley's place across town. I told her I needed a few nights away. I didn't tell her the real reason. I just said the building was having plumbing issues, and she didn't press it any further. That night at her place, I finally slept straight through the night. It was amazing. No knocking, no lights turning on, no weird smells. I stayed for 3 glorious days. I finally broke down and told Riley about what had been happening, and her jaw dropped. She told me that I was not safe and that I should go grab some of my things from the apartment and come back to stay with her until I can get this figured out. I am so lucky to have a friend like her. When I finally went back to the apartment to pick up some clothes and other belongings, I found something that made my knees buckle. Pinned to my door with a nail was a piece of paper. No envelope, just folded once, with my name scrawled in shaky handwriting across the front. Inside was a note that read, "You shouldn't have left. You're not done yet." Below that, drawn in smeared pencil, was the shape of a key. The old brass key. The one I'd left in my sock drawer at Riley's place. I opened the door to my apartment slowly, holding my breath. It was ice cold, quiet. I stepped inside and found everything normal. Too normal. That kind of staged normal, like someone had tried to reset the space but didn't quite understand how it looked before. The books on the shelf were out of order. The coffee mugs were all turned the same way, and I am not that perfect. My toothbrush was on the charger when I usually leave it in my shower. And on the table, right in the center, was the key. I left that night. I broke my lease, paid the penalty, and didn't care, and moved in with Riley for good. But 2 weeks later, Riley got curious. She's really into the paranormal stuff too. And she said she was going to my apartment to snoop around and see what she could find. She never came back. They found her car in the parking lot. Her purse was in the passenger seat. and her phone had a final photo on it, taken at 3 a.m. It was a blurry shot of my old front door, and standing just to the side of the frame was a man. Gray shirt, faded staff patch, half of his face visible and grinning. When the cops checked the apartment again, they found a hidden panel in the back of the bedroom closet. Behind it was a narrow crawl space that led into the walls. Inside were old food wrappers, empty water bottles, and a nest of blankets that reeked of copper and mildew. And in the middle of it all, stuck to the wall with duct tape, was a Polaroid of me asleep. They never found Charlie. And they never found Riley. I moved out of town after that and never looked back. I'm Devin, and thanks for joining me, Porch Pals. For more stories like this, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and help me reach 1,000 subscribers. And remember, there's always room for one more on the porch.